Welcome to another episode of DFS Picks here on Fantasy Focus through Monkey Knife Fight. I'm Derek Tate alongside the rest of the Fantasy Focus crew, Ryan Levy and Matt Bucks, as we break down the matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Indianapolis Colts. And two teams that are starting off 0-1, and one of which lost to a team in the Jacksonville Jaguars that really we thought would be pushing for that number one overall pick in the 2020 NFL draft or 2021 NFL draft. So interesting matchup between the Colts and the Vikings at Indianapolis, or it's in Minnesota actually. Wait, I'm just all over the place. Somebody save me, please. No, I'm kidding, boys. So we got the monkeyknifefight.com. If you haven't done so, go there, create an account, and when you make your first deposit, use the promo code FOCUS. And whenever you make your first deposit of $50 or more, Monkey Knife Fight will match it up to $50. So, Levy, we're going to start off with a rapid fire here after I stumbled my way through the intro.
It's okay. We forgive you.
You know, I'm still in preseason form, man. Still in preseason form. Passing yardage, we got Phillip Rivers versus Kirk Cousins, Jonathan Taylor versus Dalvin Cook for rushing yardage, and receiving yardage, we got Thielen versus T.Y. Hilton. So I think we got some tasty matchups here, boys. But how do you see this tilt playing out between the Colts and the Vikings?
Well, I want to mention the spread real quick. Vegas has the Colts winning this game. They are -3, and they've got the over/under total set at 49.5. So they're expecting a somewhat high-scoring game. So I like the fantasy options in this game. I like this play a lot as well. Naturally, I think I want to lean towards the yardage here and take Captain Kirk plus 18.5. What do you guys think?
Agreed completely.
Tater?
I like the passing options a little bit more for Phillip Rivers, though. I do. I mean, I like Thielen and Hilton both, obviously on both sides, but I really thought Paris Campbell flashed in week number 1. And I thought the pass-catching prowess of Nyheim Hines will continue to shine through for the rest of the season, as P. Riv has kind of found his version of Austin Eckler or Danny Woodhead there in Indianapolis. I actually kind of like P. Riv, but if since Kirk Cousins is getting yardage, I would probably 18.5 yards. It's not a huge advantage, but you know, Cousins gets about 19 yards. Let's roll with Kirk Cousins. But what about the rushing yardage? Because Dalvin Cook versus Jonathan Taylor, obviously the Indianapolis Colts lost Marlon Mack to an Achilles injury in week number 1 against the Jags. So, and we saw Dalvin Cook. I mean, the game flow wasn't really in the favor of Dalvin Cook in the running game there in Minnesota, but Dalvin Cook was still able to have a salvageable fantasy day against the Green Bay Packers. Only rushing for 50 yards on the ground. Taylor, on the other hand, when it came to the Indianapolis Colts, I expected the Colts to run all over the Jags. Jonathan Taylor only 22 yards on 9 carries. So, Buckey, who do you see winning this rushing matchup with Dalvin Cook actually getting a little slight edge in 1.5 yards in this showdown?
I still have Cook here. I think that Nyheim Hines is going to just have to step up in terms of that split share that they're going to have there. I'm very excited about Jonathan Taylor as a player, but Dalvin Cook for me is the pick. Madison did look extremely efficient with his carries last week. I think he's a good running back, but I think Dalvin kind of steals the show here. I'll take him to beat Jonathan Taylor in a duel.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like Jonathan Taylor a lot as a player, and the offensive line is great and all that. But for me, I'm going with the proven entity here, and I'm getting plus yardage on Dalvin Cook. It's a no-brainer for me.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, I'm going with Dalvin Cook. I'm keeping it simple. I think Dalvin Cook's the better player, and you know, I don't know what the split's going to be between Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor. So for that reason, I will lean with Dalvin Cook, who's getting a little bit of extra yardage in this showdown. So now, speaking of showdown, we've got one for receiving yards. Adam Thielen versus T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton is getting 5.5 receiving yards. For me, boys, I think that it's Adam Thielen all day, every day. If you guys have Kirk Cousins winning the individual matchup against Phillip Rivers, I see him targeting and peppering Adam Thielen with targets throughout this game. And not to mention as far as the matchups go on the flip side, I'm not sure I see anybody really slowing down Adam Thielen as far as a cornerback matchup, whether they line him up outside or on the slot.
Yeah, this one's relatively easy for me. I've been singing Adam Thielen's praises all off season. I've got a lot of shares of him. I just think he returns to a top 10 fantasy PPR option this year in season long leagues, and for that reason, on a weekly basis, I feel perfectly comfortable deploying Adam Thielen in any format. In 5.5 yards here, that's nothing. So give me Adam Thielen.
I actually lean with T.Y. here, but I'm fine with Thielen. I think it'll be close. I think the line is set appropriately.
Is there any particular reason why you're leaning T.Y. Hilton? I'd love to hear a sell job. I'm on the fence.
I think he's going to get a big one, and then I think it's going to be a bunch of shit from there out.
I actually think it's Paris Campbell that gets the big one, but both are capable. Let's put it that way. So I'm putting a 5 spot on this, and while we load up our favorite,
that purple.
What's that?
So look at all that purple there.
I know. Again, we're going with the Viking stack. We went with the Bills stack earlier on an earlier episode here through on Fantasy Focus. So I feel like you guys are pretty low on the Indianapolis Colts in this matchup, and I'm not liking it because I feel like doesn't this feel like kind of a pick 'em? Levy, I'm interested to hear what the who Vegas has favored in this matchup.
Well, you missed it earlier, Derek, when I said it, but
I know I turned my brain off. My apologies.
Once lines come out, I know you don't like to hear the gambling talk, but 3 points. The Colts are favored, and the over/under is set at 49.
It's actually a toss-up, so 3 points automatically goes to a home squad,
right?
So,
I listen. I'll show some Colts allegiance here on this one.
Well, we've got Rivers as the first, more or less, on this 6 for 6 for 35 times your buy-in special here we do on every episode of the Fantasy Focused Monkey Knife Fight Picks. Phillip Rivers, 260.5 passing yards. Bucky, do you see P. Riv going more or less?
I'm gonna go less.
I'm going more on this one. I mean, this Vikings secondary got torched last week. They did not look good. I'm going more on P. Riv.
And look, and that's why going with Kirk Cousins was one I didn't really feel 100% comfortable with, because P. Riv was probably the brightest spot aside from Paris Campbell on that offense. I mean, he threw for 360 yards last week against the Jags. I mean, granted, even though the Vikings struggled last week against Aaron Rodgers, I still feel like they're a better secondary than the Jags are for the rest of the 2020 season. But I mean, I'm gonna go less with Phillip Rivers. I don't know if he duplicates that type of performance in week number.
Wow. Okay.
So Kirk Cousins, though, 242 passing yards. Levy, start us off.
It's a tough number.
I'm going less.
Bucky, I love it. I'm gonna go more if I'm believing in some Minnesota people here. I'm gonna go more. I think he throws for 270.
I mean, if we're taking Kirk Cousins on the individual heads-up matchup and the rapid fire, and he's only getting 18 yards, correct?
Right.
So, or 18 and a half or whatever. So for that reason, if we think P. Riv is going to be close to that 260 mark, but going just under, I think Cousins will be right around that same range, 240, 250. And I'll go ahead and give him the nod at 242 and a half.
Tate, if you're wondering why I'm over here giggling, I'm just watching Bucky's face as Tottenham is just getting destroyed in the comments over here.
No, this is some chump Arsenal supporter here, K. Lopez. I do appreciate all the views. It is all copacetic, believe me. Your songs suck, both of those. And it's funny, you're going to end up well below Tottenham yet again this year. So 6 years straight, it's got to hurt. So I understand.
Adam Thielen, smash the more button. I'm all over Thielen this year. Talk me off the ledge. 5.5 catches. He's a lock for 7.
If we have Kirk Cousins having a better day than Phillip Rivers, perhaps you see this one playing out that the Colts have some sort of a lead and Cousins is playing from behind again in week number 2. I mean, Thielen's got to be a huge part of the passing game, but even consider last week he only caught 6 passes. although he did have a little bit tougher matchup against that Green Bay secondary. So I'll go with Moore. I don't know if they have an answer for Adam Thielen.
I'll say Moore is good here. I think he's going to finish with 8 receptions.
So, boys, this one's real interesting. Jonathan Taylor, 75.5 rushing yards. They completely underwhelmed in the rushing attack last week against Jacksonville. But we have a clear situation now. It's no longer a 3-headed monster. It's a 2-man show between Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor. But I expect Taylor to be the predominant early down back with, I think he's going to get somewhere around 20 carries this week. Call me crazy. I think that he gets that around that 18 carry mark, which means if he's at a 4 yards per clip, he should be right around 75 yards. I think he pops a big one. Give me the more on Jonathan Taylor. What do you guys think?
I mean, I look at last week and Minnesota wasn't bad against the run. Like Aaron Jones, 16 for 66, so averaging about 4 yards a carry there. I'm going to say less. I think he's close, though. Like, this is a really good number. I think he finishes with like 70 yards.
Buck?
I'm going more. I'm going to actually go more here on Taylor. I think he gets 85, 90.
Okay.
I think this is what you feel like your true debut is for Jonathan Taylor. This is where he gets unleashed. I think this is where he's featured in the running game. And I think he has a pretty damn good performance. And I expect that offensive line up front to have a much better week. I feel like they got embarrassed in week 1 against the Jags. Week 2, I expect them to dominate against that Vikings unit up front, even though it's a respectable unit in their own right. T.Y. Hilton, boys, 67.5 receiving yards. At least we don't have to worry about receptions. So how about the receiving total? Bucky, what's T.Y. getting?
I'm going more. I think he has a good game this week. I know you love Paris Campbell, definite athletic freak, but T.Y. Hilton is still a dude. And I think dudes do dude stuff, and they're going to go ahead and perform for a nice little 95-yard game here for T.Y. I think that's actually set a bit low. I'm going to go more.
Yeah, I'm on board with the more here. I think there's plenty of room for Campbell and T.Y. to have solid games here, especially with no Jack Doyle this week.
So why are we going less on Phillip Rivers then?
I said more, you jerk.
Well, here's the difference. I think that T.Y. Hilton, Paris Campbell looked like the best receiver in week number 1 for the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, there was 2 players that saw more targets from the slot than Paris Campbell in week 1. And I thought that the slot coverage from the Minnesota Vikings was pretty god-awful in week 1. So I expect those matchups to really favor Paris Campbell in week number 2. I think he goes over the 51.5. I got T.Y. Hilton with the less on 67.5 yards. And Bucky, I know Kay Lopez is just dogging you in your Tottenham Hotspurs.
No, it's not me. It's the club, and rightfully so. If he was on a podcast such as this and there was an Arsenal scarf in the background, I would be just dogging him. That's the way we work. That's the way we operate. It's a love-hate relationship. He actually says everyone more, even Phil. Shootout time.
I like that. Personally, I'm going to. I like.
So maybe you just want to go more on everything.
In this game, look, I said more on P-Riv to start this off. I still stand by that. I like your logic on Paris Campbell. I think he goes more, and I also think T.Y. goes more. But I guess like my
all right, let's just do it then. Let's just go more on everything.
Okay, shootout. Kay Lopez, the Arsenal guy, coming in here, taking us all the cleaners. I like it.
Look, wait, I want to make an argument, though. If you want to stick with P-Riv at less than 260, even if we're saying more on Hilton and Campbell, I mean, what? That's not that much yardage there between those two. Like, if they both get 80, we're still looking at 160, right? So there's
no Jack Doyle in this game as well. I mean, and I think that there's some other pass catchers that'll have something to say about this. Both Taylor and Hines coming out of the backfield.
Right.
I thought Jonathan Taylor's pass catching prowess was much more than I expected in week 1. I don't know if that continues, but I mean, there's going to be plenty of work in the passing game for the running backs in Indianapolis. And guess what? That counts towards, passing yardage totals. I just don't know if it's Hilton, man. I mean, Hilton's the one that I didn't see a whole ton from him in week 1 that I loved. I saw a ton
for
for Paris
5 years of him. Like, what are you questioning at this point?
I mean, he's aging a little bit, man. I mean, it's, and T.Y. Hilton, I feel like Paris Campbell is a younger, more athletic version and more explosive version than T.Y. Hilton in their respective points of their careers. I mean, Hilton's a nice, polished veteran receiver that should do some nice things with Phillip Rivers for the rest of the year. But, and maybe the one thing that I like about this for T.Y. Hilton is that Jack Doyle's been ruled out for Sunday. So we're going to get Mo Alley Cox as the starting tight end, and I don't expect him to do a whole ton in the passing game. So, if you guys are just feeling a shootout here in Indianapolis, we can roll with it if you want.
Oh, I already placed the wager.
Buckey, you want to roll? You just want to roll with the roll? I know you said less on P Rib. Do you?
I'm clearly against an all more movement. I'm a less man at my very core, but pop that in. $2, win 70, no biggie.
All right, fine. Let's go ahead and let it rip. If you guys are expecting a high
You'll
scoring
thank me
affair,
tomorrow.
What's that?
You'll thank me tomorrow. I knew you'd see it my way.
Oh, you beat me to it. You beat me to it. So again, if this is your first time coming across our YouTube channel here on Fantasy Focus, go ahead and subscribe to make sure you don't miss any of the fantasy football content that we have on the way for the rest of the 2020 NFL season. And join us for the live show tomorrow at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. We go live till noon, taking all of your lineup questions and discussing injuries, outlooks for week 2 of NFL action. And also, if you are first time coming across Monkey Knife Fight, when you create your account, just remember to use the promo code FOCUS. When you make your first deposit, Monkey Knife Fight will match it up to $50 into your account to go ahead and get you started and make a little bit of money here during the NFL season. Until next time, everybody, good luck and later, says the Tater.
Coys.
See ya.